Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I am your host, Adam Cousins, and it's a very sad day in my household. I've had to put the heating on in the house over in England. It is winter now in England, but nevertheless, it is a very special interview with a very special wrestler from a very special family. Yes, we all know about the tribal chief, and we know the headshrinkers, wild Samoans, and everybody else. But now we're talking to one of the newest men, Lance Aona'i. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. And same, man. It's over here on the East Coast of the U.S., man. We had to turn on our heaters. It's 40 degrees and it's cold.
It is freezing over here in the UK. I can tell you. You might not be able to see my breath on this, but it's not far away from seeing that. Yeah, I've had to put the heating on, so it's bad times over here. But we are heading towards Thanksgiving in America, obviously,
Yes.
and Christmas as well over here and over in the States. But thanks for joining us, Lance. We really appreciate you coming on the show today, or this evening, as it's Friday night upon recording. What's 2023 been like for you?
2023, man, it's been great. We started off 2023 with me and Juicy Finale.
Yeah.
We ended up winning the MLW Tag Team Championships, carrying that on for a few months, and then ended up dropping them. And then did my first ever tour in Pro Wrestling Noah over in Japan. So, man, 2023 has been a blessing, and I'm very happy and just ready to see what the future holds.
Yeah, excellent. How did you find the Japanese wrestling? Because obviously everyone talks about strong style and all of that stuff. We have some British strong style wrestling over here as well. But how did it work from, say, MLW to when you went out to Noah? What was the main differences you saw?
Man, calling a match was the main difference. Because not many of you guys got to work with foreigner guys over there. And if they never did, it made calling matches a lot harder. Just different like fan base. To me, I feel Japanese is familiar with American style wrestling, but it is definitely different. No babyface heel, they cheer who they want, and that's how it worked. They liked it, they cheered. They didn't like it, they booed, like basically. But there was like no babyface or heels, and I kind of enjoyed that. And the strong style, man, it was different because I like to be hit and I love it to hit back. So I actually very much enjoyed it.
Well, we had a match over here at the weekend. I went and watched a British promotion called Revolution Pro, and they had Erie. He's Erie against one of our sort of best in England, Ricky Knight Jr., who is the cousin of Saraya from Paige in the WWE.
Yes.
And you talking hard hitting, they actually headbutted each other. They had a proper head, and it made that noise of head on head when you hit. It was my match of the year for me. It was an incredible contest. I loved every minute of it. But you mentioned the strong style there. But MLW, you've just finished up there now, obviously not too long ago. But you enjoyed the run in general in MLW. You did a lot of fun over there working for those guys.
Yeah, so I had a lot of fun with MLW, especially being with Juicy, my cousin Jacob Fatu, who's a big star now, man, and just killing it on the independents. But, just for me to be there, because that's where my dad, my dad, when MLW first started, my dad was there to help run MLW with Court Bauer, and just to be able to have that privilege to wrestle in the same company as my father, as my uncle Umaga, one of our good friends, Mana the Polynesian Warrior out in New Zealand. He wrestled there. Also, the Samoan Island tribe they created in MLW. So it was just awesome to be there. And I've been in there since 2018 on and off. I signed my first contract in, I don't even know, 2022, I believe. And from there, man, I've been the only MLW superstar to be in every one of their big show, like Royal Rumble style matches, which they call the Battle Riot.
Yes.
And man, so I enjoyed everything they gave me.
That was a 40-man, isn't it? The Battle Riot, isn't it?
It's 40-man, yeah.
Incredible. I've only seen that once in the WWE. I think they've done it once over in Saudi Arabia. I think it was the big. I know they've done it twice. I think they've done the biggest Royal Rumble and done the greatest Royal Rumble.
The greatest, yeah.
How was it over in San
The greatest, that's the one with Titus O'Neil and slip and sliding.
That was the greatest meme to ever come out of wrestling, I think, or at least one of them. Anyway, you've spoken a bit about your father there. I remember growing up watching the Head Shrinkers. Over here in the UK, I'm not sure how you know. We got Sky probably early 90s, probably around that time. So Sky come out, and we got to watch WWF at that point. And I remember the Head Shrinkers and people like that. But growing up with your father as a wrestler, how is that life like?
Man, growing up with my father, it was awesome. Like my father, like he traveled a lot as a kid. Like he was in Japan or doing independence, but he made sure he was always there. Like my father always was because before wrestling, I was a baseball player.
Yes.
And he was always at all my games. He made sure he was there, committed to family, because that's one thing that we are as a Samoan family is we're very family oriented. Yes. And that family comes first, and just being there, man, but also like just having my father around, and then the superstars that came with him, like when we were kids, Yokozuna coming to my house, Rikishi, seeing guys like young Gangrel, Luna Vachon, Bam Bam Bigelow, like X-Pac. It was a big one, man. And they just tell me stories how my dad used to just put me on top of a suitcase and wheel me in the back of the locker room. And then they just slowly started passing. If my dad was in the ring, like different wrestlers were holding me or watching me while he was out there.
That's correct. That actually quite crazy, but also really good that he obviously took that time as well. Because obviously I've got a son, an 8-year-old, and I make sure. Obviously, my life wasn't like your dad's life. I'm not going country to country, but obviously I make sure every soccer game, as you call it over there in America, I go to make sure I'm at every soccer class. I'm at every training that he does. So doesn't live with me, so I make sure that I make up that time. I'm always there. So the family come first. Things,
of course,
is the major thing. When you were obviously one of the biggest ones, obviously The Rock, Dwayne Johnson now, as it goes. When you see The Rock on the films and stuff, like how weird is it to sort of think, that's my family on that film? Wait, this must be mental.
So it used to be weird, like when I was younger and he first started doing stuff. Now it's like, okay, now I see him on this film and that film, and now it just became kind of, I want to say normal. Now, like I look forward to seeing, who knows if we see more of Roman Reigns on more movies, or because I know he's done a few things already, but just to see the opportunities given to our family just outside of wrestling also. So I enjoy it.
Yeah, it would be. It's good to always have that opportunity as well. Because you see it now, not even in your family, but you see it with John Cena's and people like that.
Yes.
Massive movies. So
Batista,
and I was literally going to say that. Thank God the writer's strike's over.
So my grandfather actually trained Batista too. So yes,
crazy. Because I remember Batista in OVW. It was Leviathan, the monster. I think Jim Cornette created this monster from the ocean or something like that. It was along those lines. I remember seeing clips of Leviathan before he come up to the WWE as Dave Batista, but that was interesting. He was trained up by your uncle. That was really good. One of the questions we got from our fans, actually, he's actually a fan of the NWA, which made it quite relevant. Last Friday, you took on La Rebellion. At the Clash. Was it for Crash? And he said one of the questions was, did you have any trouble getting into the arena? So I don't know if it's a problem. And what did you actually make of La Rebellion himself? That was from the Alliance Wrestling blog.
Man, I enjoyed Mexico a lot. That was my first time in Mexico. So I had no problem getting into the arena. I feel like it was harder getting out. Because wrestling is such a popular Mexican tag team. It was me and Brian Keith, who also is destroying the indies all over the place. And it was me and him versus two of the top Mexican stars. And man, they just hated us. So I always heard stories about Mexico. I heard stories about Puerto Rico, but man, definitely Mexico. I was worried about leaving the arena. I said, man, we got to walk in a pack.
I've watched. I'm a big fan of NWA, so I know Larabelli and Mecca Wolf and better. He's the 666, I think it is. Sorry, and if I get that wrong, I apologize if I got that wrong. I'm not very good with names. Bestia, that's it. Yeah. I needed one of my co-hosts with me. She knew he does the NWA stuff, and she would crucify me for that next week when we have it. I watched Lara Belli on quite a bit, so I know that they're very good. They're a very good tag team for sure. Just switching gears and talking back to the family side. Is there, because of your lineage and stuff, do promoters expect different, maybe more different, that they would say booking a different talent or someone without the heritage? Does it come with a reputation when you walk into a locker room? Is there something there that perhaps you wouldn't get from somebody else walking in when you walk in, or someone from your family walks in?
I'm not sure. To me, I don't know how to answer that, but to me, like a lot of locker rooms I walk in, it's nothing but respect. Not just for me, but that so I like to walk. Everybody's very humble, and they definitely come up, they shake their hand, introduce. Like I've been asked plenty of times to watch matches, how I think about them, because I've been doing this almost 14 years now. So I'm more considered, I want to say, a vet in most locker rooms I've been to now. But now I just love like wrestling with the younger guys and learning and teaching them. But I also learned from them because all these different styles came out. Yeah. Like when I was younger, man, I was just want to fly. And now being in the business for so long, I even tell the younger kids, like, you don't need all that. Less is more. Let the fans register every move you give and save your body for when the time is right.
You know, that's quite interesting, because that is exactly the same thing I think The Undertaker said quite recently. And I was listening to one of his things. He said that you don't always need to do this spot fest. Sometimes you can have the best matches where you have fewer spots, but in different moments of the match. So you can, even so it gives you guys the break. If you're going at it for so long, you hit that big spot, you can drop down and have that little break so that you can then move on to the next part of the story you're trying to tell.
Yeah. So the way I was always trained was the fans are always one step behind. So always just slow it down just so they could register it all. And that's the main thing. Like if you hurry up, do things too fast, they already forgot what you did in the beginning of the match.
I agree with that. I see it quite a lot now. I think it's more of the thing nowadays, though. Like you see so much going on in the match. You could have like, I don't know, you start a match and there'll be like 50 super kicks before you've even got to that first kind of, I wouldn't say rest period or so, or something like that, because I suppose I'm a bit of an old school fan myself. I do like the build up to the match and the story that you're trying to tell. And it's like when I see it when they're going 150 miles an hour, it's great. But as you rightfully pointed out, you think, what happened at the start? How did this begin? You know, but
exactly.
I'm a big old school fan, so that's really where I get it. So I totally agree with what you guys and the Undertaker said.
And that's one thing like I loved about being in Japan was a lot of them were trained the old school way, and nobody cared. Like, man, a clothesline was huge for them out there. So it's like let that all settle. Like if you throw a big clothesline, it's not straight to the next move. It's let that register.
Yeah. I see that a lot more watching actually NWA fan. I watch NWA Power quite a lot. And what I've noticed about that is pretty much like you said there, it's not gung-ho. It's very much, I think they finished the move on the last season with like a flying elbow drop. And I haven't seen a flying elbow drop win a match. It's like Randy Savage.
Yeah. When was the last time you seen a leg drop as a finish? Yeah.
Nowadays, it's like kick out. How important is it now, from your point of view? We're just talking finishers quite now, to protect the finisher. And I think Undertaker also said that to somebody as well. It was like I think Dudley's. He said it to the Dudley boys, like, because no one had kicked out of the 3D, and I think they were going into a match at the Great American Bash where he was going to kick out, and he blatantly refused to kick out of the 3D. So if I'm kicking out of it, you're not hitting it, kind of thing. Is that still to the day? Do you really need to sort of fight to get that finisher protected nowadays?
Not really. Like to me, like especially lately, I was like, I don't want to hit my splash unless it's that moment. So in Mexico, we didn't do any of the splash, and then finally we hit two big false finishes, and then I came off with the splash, and then everybody thought the rebellion was done. So then I did 1, 2, and then it was a huge kick out, and that place just erupted. And so I felt like for that moment, we needed that kick out instead of it. Technically didn't bury my finish, but it showed the strength in him. But to do, like, for instance, super kick in the first 2.5 minutes of a match, to me, that is burying a move Shawn Michaels built for so long
Yeah.
as his finish. And that I'm very against super kicks right away in a match. And
Yeah. I'm not a fan of it.
yeah. Oh, neither am I.
You know.
So I might have probably done it once, but I definitely like regret it after I watch it. And just so many big moves that I think should be saved.
Yeah.
Especially Canadian destroyers doing that early
How many
on.
times?
You're dropping a guy on his neck. So
I see that. I think I saw a match the other week. There was like 4 in succession. They one done one, then the other reversed into one, and his tag partner done one. And I was like, Petey Williams done that in TNA, and I was just like, wow, what a move! We had Jake Roberts on the show 6 months or so ago, and he was like, my DDTs. Like when he used to hit it, when me and you, even when I'm a bit older than you, but when we were growing up, he hits that, it's done.
Oh, 100%.
Nowadays, it's your everyday move.
Oh, yep.
It's like a body slam now. The DDT is like a body slam.
Yeah.
We're going to talk just quickly about I can't not talk about the Usos, the Jimmy and Jay. Obviously, at the moment, separate ways, gone their separate ways as singles. As a tag team, I grew up in a big tag team, Demolition, the Head Shrinkers, LOD, Powers of Pain. These two were probably the best of the tag teams since, FTR aside as well. But these two together as a team were absolutely phenomenal. Now they're going their separate ways as singles. Are we going to see a different side of these two now where we may see single gold come their way?
I hope, like I said, I always hope for success in our family.
Yeah.
You got Solo also in there. Yes. Roman obviously is already succeeding. He's surpassing everybody right now, but definitely I want to see Jay hold a single gold. Yes. Like we've seen him just win gold recently with Cody Rhodes, but I want to see him just have that moment as a singles champion. And then Jimmy, man, I think Jimmy is just out there having fun being himself. Yeah. So that's him in real life. And I think he loves every moment of it. And I hope singles gold comes to him also. Who knows? He might be the one to take out Roman. Just never know, man.
Could be you, Lance. Who knows?
Yeah, man. You just never know.
You touched on Solo there. And he's had a year of I don't think I've seen someone that's had more dominant year in ages, especially the WWE. He come out obviously in Wales, quite cost Drew McIntyre the title, but he's been on such a roll this year. And I know he's been obviously positioned with Roman, but Roman's not been there all the time, and he's took it upon himself to really carve out a name and become this big star in the WWE. He's had a fantastic year.
Yes, he has, and like I said, I was there before on it. Yes. One of it, like I seen this first match. I also was able to wrestle Solo 1-on-1 in California, and just to be able to tag with him and see this run from him. He's learning from the best, man. He's with Roman. He was with the Twins when he first started, and also Paul Heyman, who is, man, that man knows his stuff, and just being brought in and right there with him side by side every week. Even if Roman's not there, he's still right there with Paul Heyman, listening and learning. And I think that's the biggest part for him, is just listening.
Yeah, I was going to touch on Paul Heyman because he's had a big influence in the Samoans anyway. Going back way back when in the old WCW sort of days. He's been there through. He's now coming back. Obviously, he's been with the Bloodline for so long. But he goes way back to
he goes with the small SWAT team, man.
Yeah, he did. I still remember him with his phone, and he had a longer ponytail, I think, back in those days. Yeah, he's been there as well. But just talking about Roman briefly before we move back onto your good self. Obviously, this run. I know you've had a title for about 800 days. I think about this is the WXW Championship.
Oh yeah. Sure.
But he's a pro. I mean, he's breaking records left, right, and center. He's obviously the next one. I think is Hulk Hogan's record. I believe. I think that's the next one he takes. But just to see that, and just it's been unheard of in wrestling now for this long as a title reign. But it doesn't seem like it's going to end. But it's been great storytelling, because I've always felt with this particular story that whenever it's gotten to a point where you kind of think, well, it's getting a bit, they change it and it's something else. They brought Paul Heyman in, they brought Sami Zayn in, they brought Solo in. The Usos are now separated, and it's like, what's next? And I would think like that's what's made it so good, the storytelling, but as well the way in which their characters have done it as well. It's been vastly important, the way that they've portrayed their characters so well during this phase of the bloodline.
Oh, yeah. And like you said, like they've been building it. They're not rushing it. They're letting everything settle. How many years ago, like when everybody just booed Roman, nobody liked him because he was being forced down everybody's throat. Like he wanted to be the guy. And now they just, after like during COVID, he just came back, man. He's smarter. He listened, I guess, to Paul Heyman or Triple H, whoever was in charge, and he came up with this character. And now he's just on that run. And hey, I know John Cena calls himself the GOAT right now, but I think he better watch out because Roman Reigns might be taking that title soon.
I think he may well be if he hasn't done already. Obviously, there is always this talk about having a head of the table match with The Rock at some point. That is the match I think now that every fan wants to see.
Yes. Well, I guess The Rock, I heard The Rock say it was supposed to happen out in LA and end up changing. Yeah. So as of now, like I haven't really heard much more about it. Now everybody wants Cody again and Cody to finish this story. But sorry, Cody, but I don't think that story is ending.
No, I don't think so. I would much rather, I mean, I don't know, maybe Roman pulls double duty, wrestles Cody one night and The Rock the second night wrestling.
Hey, you never know.
Maybe. I'm available for bookings, WWE, if you're interested. But Lance, more about you now. How do you feel your if a crystal ball in front of you 12 months down the line, are you going to be having fun on the indies? Obviously, we don't want to, I'm not asking you where you're going or if you've signed or anything like that. That's none of my business. That's not what I'd be asking. But 12 months down the line, where would you see Lance Anoa'i this time next year?
Man, 12 months, man. I honestly don't think that far ahead. I'll be probably getting ready for Thanksgiving next year. But man, like for my wrestling career, I want to tour Japan again. I want to make it over to the UK, Canada, more Mexico, Puerto Rico. I just want to travel the world with my wrestling career. If I end up somewhere signed, who knows? We might throw our ones up, but you just never know, man.
You don't. That's the good thing. Well, we have the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast has its own championship over here in the UK.
Oh, really?
On the independent. So maybe we maybe Lance Anoa'i can take on our current champion who's smashing mine.
Hey, I would love to be out there. Like when I was out in Japan, I was with like Saxon Huxley, Jack Morris, all of them out there, and I enjoyed it. And just I was talking to them, picking their brain about the UK wrestling, and that's definitely one place I definitely want to make my way out.
We've got a guy in Japan at the moment, Callum Newman, who's over in Japan. He was trained by Will Ospreay. He's he's out there at the minute. I think he's still out there. Yeah, because he wasn't at the last show. So yeah, he's still out there. So we'll see what happens with Callum and obviously yourself if you go back out to Japan. But Lance, as we go wrapping up now, how can people get hold of you? Where can they get hold of you? If you're available for bookings, how do they do it? Really, spotlight's on you now to say, hey, I'm available. Where can I hit you up?
Hey, well, I'm available now for bookings. No contract signed. I am a free agent. But yeah, anywhere, man, you can reach me on all social media at Lance Aona'i. And we could talk, man. You can reach me there for bookings, appearances, signings. If you just want to talk on a podcast, man, just reach out to me and I'll be glad to help out and be there.
Excellent. Well, I've got to wrap up with my bits now. So it's going out tomorrow. So Saturday, so Sunday, the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. The Turnbuckle Championship is being defended on Sunday over in Borehamwood in the UK with our champion Smashing Mike going up against somebody else who's just come back from, well, not long been back from Noah as well. Chris Ridgway will be defending. He'll be going against Smashing Mike. In terms of shows, we've got, and we're also going to Progress Wrestling. We're going to SWA. We're basically going to be doing a whistle-stop tour of the UK for the last, and we've been invited to some of these shows from Progress and Revolution Pro Wrestling. So big thanks to all of those guys. We will be getting out to the NWA. I think one of our co-hosts, Fiona, is going out there in January, I believe, for the Hard Times pay-per-view. We was going to go to the Royal Rumble, but unfortunately the health has let me down. I'm not allowed to fly that far, unfortunately, due to I had heart failure a little while ago, and it's just just
oh really? Wow.
So, yeah, I'm allowed to fly certain lengths, but 8 hours is
8 hours too much.
It's about 6 hours too much at the minute. Yeah, so unfortunately, no Royal Rumble for me this year, but I'm hoping to get out there next year.
That's my favorite pay-per-view, man.
My favorite pay-per-view. I love the Royal Rumble because it is so unpredictable. And one last question, actually, because we're talking about guys that are in the news and the guys that potentially could be going somewhere. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a name, CM Punk, to you.
CM Punk.
Survivor Series Chicago. Survivor Series Chicago. There's a lot of talk. Would you be surprised to see him show up at Survivor Series?
Honestly, I would not be surprised at all. Not one bit. You know. Yeah. You know, this business is about making money, and
of course,
I feel like a lot of things could be put to the side if you really want to make that money, and who better than in Chicago than CM Punk?
Exactly. I agree. I'd like to see it. I more think Randy Orton might be coming back by then, but
hey, I've been waiting for him to come back, man. He's still going strong and having hell of a matches. And you know, injuries, man, they happen.
Yeah, they
do. At least they're recovering. I'm waiting for Big E to come back still.
Yeah, I hope so.
So there's a few guys out there that I'm waiting to come back, and just never know who's challenging Roman next.
Wow. Well, Randy Orton maybe. Yeah, it could be. I mean, I suppose with Randy with his back, there's so many RKOs that he does is kind of that's how it. I suppose that's kind of how it happens, isn't it? If you keep falling on your same part of your body every time, then it's
you just land like after a while, your body just takes a toll. Like they say, when you're bumping, it's like getting hit by a car. So imagine just getting hit by a car for what is Randy 20 years in?
Yeah,
it's been a long time, and at the time, like when he was first starting, they were on the road maybe 300 days of the year. So constantly doing it, it just takes a toll.
It takes a toll. I mean, I done wrestling school for about a month, and it was enough for me to say, A, I'm not athletic enough to do it, and B, you're right, it hurts like hell to do it. Even running the ropes does it. You know, you get your red marks on the back.
Get the marks on the back, I know exactly what you mean.
But Lance, it's been really good chatting to you on the show today, and thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to come on here, and we wish you the absolute best of luck for whatever you decide to do in the future. We'll be keeping a close eye over this side of the pond for you. Maybe we may even cross paths.
See me over there one day.
Maybe we will. But guys, for now, this has been the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast with a wonderful Lance Aona'i. I've been your host, Adam Cousins. And until next time, everybody, buckle down and stay safe.
Yep.